The champagne flutes were lined up like crystal soldiers on our kitchen counter, each one catching the late afternoon light streaming through the windows of our historic main home. 24 glasses for 24 guests, all here to celebrate our 5th wedding anniversary. Sophie had insisted on the exact count 3 times this morning, her manicured finger tapping each glass as if performing some sacred ritual. "Eli, honey, did you remember to chill the good bottles?" Sophie called from upstairs, her voice carrying that particular tone she used when she already knew the answer, but wanted to hear me confirm her perfection. "Already done, sweetheart," I replied, adjusting my tie in the hallway mirror. The sarcasm in my voice was lost on her as usual. After 5 years of marriage, I'd perfected the art of saying exactly what she wanted to hear while meaning something entirely different. Our house was a restored 1890s Victorian that I'd spent 3 years renovating myself. Every crown molding, every hardwood plank, every carefully chosen paint color bore my fingerprints. Sophie loved to tell people at parties that she'd supervised the restoration, which was her way of saying she'd picked out throw pillows and complained about dust. The doorbell chimed, and I could hear Sophie's heels clicking rapidly across the upstairs floor. She'd been getting ready for 2 hours, transforming herself into the perfect hostess version of Sophie Brandt. The woman I married had been spontaneous, laughing at my dry jokes and rolling her eyes at fancy dinner parties. This Sophie was all performance all the time. "Get that, would you?" she called down. "I'm just putting on my earrings." I opened the door to find Greta Morrison, Sophie's best friend since college, holding a bottle of wine and wearing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Behind her stood Mason Clark, a mutual friend from our social circle who'd been paying a little too much attention to my wife lately. I lie. Happy anniversary. Greta kissed both my cheeks in that affected way she'd picked up after a trip to France 2 years ago. "Where's the birthday girl?" "Anniversary girl," I corrected. "And she's upstairs putting on her show face." Mason laughed, but it sounded forced. "Come on, man. It's your big day. Lighten up." I'd known Mason for 4 years, ever since Sophie and I joined the Coastal Maine Social Club. He was one of those guys who collected friends like trophies, always working an angle, always positioning himself as the sympathetic ear when couples had problems. Lately, he'd been offering that ear to Sophie a little too frequently. "I'm plenty light," I said, taking their coats. "Light as a feather, light as my wife's promises." Greta shot me a look. What's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, Sophie appeared at the top of the stairs like she was making an entrance at the Met Gala. She'd chosen a black cocktail dress that hugged every curve. Her blonde hair swept up to show off the diamond earrings I bought her last Christmas. She looked stunning, and she knew it. Greta Mason. She practically floated down the stairs, arms extended for hugs. "You look absolutely gorgeous, both of you." I watched the performance with the detached interest of a theater critic. Sophie had always been beautiful, but somewhere along the way, that beauty had become weaponized. Every smile calculated, every gesture designed for maximum impact. More guests arrived in quick succession. The Hendersons from down the street, a few couples from the social club, Sophie's boss, Mr. Lasker, with his wife, and assorted friends who fell into that category of people you invite because not inviting them would cause drama. I played bartender, mixing drinks and making small talk while Sophie worked the room like a politician's wife. She had a gift for making everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room, at least for the 30 seconds she spent with them before moving on to the next conversation. "Eli, you've outdone yourself with this place," said Mrs. Henderson, gesturing at the restored crown molding in our living room. "The craftsmanship is just beautiful." "Thanks, Mrs. H. Took me about 6 months to get those corners right." Oh, Sophie must have loved watching it all come together. I smiled and nodded, not mentioning that Sophie had spent most of those 6 months complaining about the noise and the dust and asking when she could have her real living room back. The evening was proceeding exactly as expected until the doorbell rang at 7:30. I was in the kitchen refilling the ice bucket when I heard Sophie's voice rise an octave. Oh my God, you came." I froze. Ola Martin was Sophie's ex-boyfriend from before we met. A real estate developer who specialized in turning historic properties into soulless luxury condos. He was everything I wasn't. Tall, conventionally handsome, wealthy in that effortless way that comes from family money rather than actual work. I hadn't seen his name on the guest list. Walking into the living room, I found Sophie practically glowing as she introduced Ole to the guests who hadn't met him. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people's cars. His dark hair perfectly styled, his smile practiced and confident. "Eli." He extended a hand like we were old friends. "Congratulations, man. 5 years. That's really something." "It really is," I said, shaking his hand and squeezing just a little harder than necessary. "I didn't realize Sophie had invited you." "Last-minute addition," Sophie said quickly, her cheeks flushed. "I thought it would be nice to show Ole what he lost." The comment hung in the air like smoke from a cigarette. Several guests shifted uncomfortably. Greta giggled nervously. Mason's eyes darted between Sophie and me like he was watching a tennis match. "Well," I said, my voice carefully neutral, "the more the merrier." But inside, my mind was racing. Sophie and Ola had dated for 2 years before she met me. Their breakup had been messy, involving accusations and recriminations that Sophie had only hinted at during our early relationship. She'd sworn she never wanted to see him again. So why was he here? And why was Sophie looking at him like he was a glass of water and she'd just crossed the desert? I excused myself to get more wine from the kitchen. But really, I needed a moment to think. Through the window, I could see my neighbor, Mrs. Dexter, watering her garden and pretending not to watch our party. She was 83 years old and had lived in this neighborhood longer than anyone. She also had the sharpest eyes and the longest memory of anyone I'd ever met. When I returned to the living room, Sophie and Ole were standing close together near the fireplace, their heads bent in conversation. Too close, too intimate, the kind of closeness that comes from shared history and unfinished business. "Everything okay?" Sean Murphy appeared at my elbow. He was my best friend, a mechanic who owned a shop downtown and had helped me with some of the more complex restoration work on the house. He was also one of the few people who could read my moods. "Peachy," I said, "just wondering when my wife started inviting her ex-boyfriends to our anniversary party." Sean followed my gaze to where Sophie was now laughing at something Ola had whispered in her ear. "Yeah, that's weird." Weird is one word for it. The party continued, but I found myself watching Sophie and Ola like a hawk. They weren't doing anything overtly inappropriate, but there was an energy between them that made my teeth ache. Little touches on the arm during conversation, shared glances across the room. The way Sophie's voice changed when she talked to him, becoming softer, more breathless. Around 9, Sophie announced that she had a special surprise for everyone. She'd put together a slideshow of photos from our 5 years together, set to music to show on the big screen TV I'd mounted above the fireplace. "Eli doesn't know about this," she said, beaming at me across the room. "I've been working on it for weeks." Everyone gathered in the living room, drinks in hand, faces turned expectantly toward the screen. Sophie dimmed the lights and picked up the remote control, her excitement palpable. "This is just a little journey through our life together," she said. "All the wonderful memories we've made." She pressed play, For about 30 seconds, everything went according to plan. There were photos of our wedding day, our honeymoon in Italy, Christmas mornings, vacation trips. The music was appropriately sentimental. Several guests made appreciative sounds. Then something went wrong. Instead of our wedding photos, the screen filled with a very different kind of image. Sophie without clothes and breathless, her head thrown back in ecstasy. But the man beneath her wasn't me. It was Ole. The room went dead silent, except for the sounds coming from the speakers. Intimate sounds, passionate sounds, recent sounds. Judging by Sophie's current hairstyle and the bedroom I recognized as the one in Ole's downtown condo. Someone gasped. Someone else dropped a glass. The crystals shattered on our hardwood floor like a gunshot. Sophie stood frozen, the remote control trembling in her hand, her face cycling through confusion, horror, and panic. Ole had gone pale. His confident smile replaced by something that looked like terror. I felt strangely calm, almost relieved. After months of suspicion, of second-guessing myself, of wondering if I was paranoid or crazy, here was proof. Undeniable high-definition, surround soundproof. The video continued for another few seconds before Sophie managed to hit the stop button. But the damage was done. 24 guests had just watched my wife having sex with another man at our 5th wedding anniversary party. The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Finally, I stood up. Every eye in the room turned to me. Sophie's face was streaked with tears, her perfect makeup ruined. Ole looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "Well," I said, my voice carrying clearly in the absolute quiet. "I guess that explains why you wanted to show Ole what he lost." I walked over to the TV and unplugged it. The screen went black. "Thank you all for coming," I continued, still in that same calm voice. "I think the party's over." I woke up alone in our bed, which wasn't surprising since I had locked Sophie out of the bedroom the night before. She'd spent the night on the living room couch. Judging by the pillow and blanket, I could see through this bedroom doorway. Her soft crying had finally stopped around 3 in the morning. The house felt different now, contaminated. Every room held memories that had been rewritten by 30 seconds of video. The kitchen, where we'd had coffee every morning for 5 years. The living room, where we'd watched movies and argued about the thermostat. The bedroom, where I'd thought we were building something real. All of it was different now. All of it was a lie. I showered, dressed, and made coffee in the mechanical way you do things when your brain is still processing trauma. Through the kitchen window, I could see Mrs. Dexter in her garden again. But this time, she wasn't pretending not to watch. She was staring directly at our house with the intense focus of a scientist studying a particularly interesting specimen. Sophie appeared in the kitchen doorway around 8, still wearing last night's dress. Her hair a mess, her makeup smeared. She looked like she'd been hit by a truck. "Eli, we need to talk." "Do we?" I poured myself coffee and didn't offer her any. I thought the video covered everything pretty thoroughly. "It's not what you think." I actually laughed. "It's not what I think." "Sophie, I watched you having sex with another man in high definition. What part of that is open to interpretation?" She sat down at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten breakfast together thousands of times. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. "Which part? Sleeping with your ex-boyfriend or accidentally showing the video to our friends?" "Both. All of it." Tears started flowing again. "Eli, I love you. I made a horrible mistake. But I love you." I studied her face, looking for some trace of the woman I'd married. She was still beautiful, even with ruined makeup and red-rimmed eyes. But something essential was missing. Maybe it had been missing for a long time, and I'd just been too stupid to notice. When? I asked. What? When did it start? The affair. When did it start? She looked down at her hands. 3 months ago. He came to one of my work events and we started talking in 3 months. I nodded slowly. So, all those late nights at work, all those client dinners, all those times you were too tired to talk when you got home. I'm sorry. God, Eli, I'm so sorry. Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught? She looked up at me then, and for a moment, I saw something that might have been genuine remorse, but it was mixed with something else. Calculation. She was already thinking about damage control, about how to spin this, about how to salvage her reputation. The video, I said. How did that happen? How did a Zex tape end up in your anniversary slideshow? I don't know. I must have grabbed the wrong file when I was putting the presentation together. I keep all my photos in the same folder on my laptop. And you kept a Zac tape with your lover in the same folder as our family photos. The question hung in the air like an accusation. Sophie's face crumpled. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. None of this was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen, Sophie? What was the plan here? She didn't answer, which was an answer in itself. My phone buzzed. A text from Sean. You okay, man? That was brutal last night. Then another from my sister in Portland. Call me. Heard something happened. Then another from a number I didn't recognize. Saw the show last night. Karma's unpleasant person. Jesus, I muttered, scrolling through the messages. How many people are talking about this already? Sophie wiped her eyes. Greta called this morning. She said people are talking. I bet they are. The doorbell rang. Through the front window, I could see a familiar figure on our porch, Petra Walsh, the lawyer who'd handled the purchase of our house. She was a sharp woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Did you call a lawyer? I asked Sophie. No. Did you? I opened the door. Petra was holding 2 cups of coffee and wearing an expression I couldn't quite read. Rough night? She asked. You could say that. How did you? My neighbor was at your party. She called me this morning. Petra handed me one of the coffees. Thought you might need some legal advice. I let her in. Sophie was still sitting at the kitchen table looking like a defendant waiting for a verdict. Sophie, Petra nodded politely. I'm sorry about everything. This is all just a misunderstanding, Sophie said quickly. A terrible accident. Eli and I are going to work through this. Petra looked at me. Is that true? I thought about the question. Really thought about it. 5 years of marriage, a house we'd restored together, shared friends, shared memories, a shared life that had just been revealed as largely fictional. I don't know, I said finally. Well, when you do know, call me. Petra set a business card on the counter. In the meantime, don't sign anything. Don't make any major financial decisions. And don't do anything stupid. After she left, Sophie and I sat in silence for a long time. The house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I need some air, I said finally. I drove to Sean's auto shop, a converted warehouse near the harbor, where he fixed everything from vintage Mustangs to fishing boats. He was under the hood of a Toyota when I arrived, his hands black with grease, his radio playing classic rock. Well, he said, looking up. If it isn't the star of last night's entertainment. Very funny. I'm serious, man. That was the most excitement the social club has seen since Mrs. Patterson got drunk and told everyone what she really thought about the annual fundraiser. Sean wiped his hands on a rag and studied my face. You look like hell. I feel worse than I look. What are you going to do? It was the question I'd been avoiding all morning. What was I going to do? Forgive Sophie and pretend nothing had happened? File for divorce and split everything down the middle? Burn the house down and start over in another state? I don't know yet. Want some advice? Do I have a choice? Whatever you decide, don't let her make you feel like the bad guy here. She cheated. She humiliated you in front of everyone you know. She doesn't get to play the sufferer. I nodded, but part of me wondered if it was that simple. Marriage was complicated. People made mistakes. Maybe I'd been a bad husband. Maybe I'd driven her to Ola somehow. Stop it, Sean said. Stop what? Whatever you're thinking right now. I can see it on your face. This isn't your fault, Eli. You didn't make her cheat. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from Mason Clark. You going to answer that? Sean asked. I looked at the screen for a moment, then declined the call. He's probably calling to offer his shoulder for Sophie to cry on, I said. That guy's been sniffing around her for months. You know that, right? I did know it, but I hadn't wanted to admit it to myself. Mason was always just a little too helpful, a little too interested in Sophie's problems, a little too quick to suggest activities that didn't include me. Yeah, I know. So, what's the plan? I thought about Petra's business card in my pocket, about the house that suddenly felt like a museum of lies, about Sophie sitting at our kitchen table, probably calling Greta or her mother or whoever else might help her figure out how to fix this mess. I think, I said slowly, I'm going to stop being the nice guy. Sean grinned. Now you're talking. When I got home, Sophie was gone. There was a note on the kitchen counter. Gone to Greta's to think. We need to talk when I get back. I love you. S. I crumpled up the note and threw it in the trash. Then I called Petra Walsh. That was fast, she said when she answered. I want to know my options. Come to my office. Bring your financial records, your marriage certificate, and any documentation of assets. And Eli, yeah, bring that video if you have a copy. Cheating still matters in Maine divorce law. Petra's law office was in a converted Victorian house downtown, all dark wood and leather-bound books that were probably older than I was. She sat behind a mahogany desk that could have doubled as a small aircraft carrier, studying the financial documents I brought. You've been smart about protecting your assets, she said, flipping through bank statements. The house is in both names, but you did all the restoration work yourself, which adds significant value. The business accounts are separate. Your retirement fund is yours alone. What about the affair? Does that matter? In Maine, cheating is grounds for divorce, and it can affect property division and spousal support. She looked up at me over her reading glasses. That video is going to be very helpful. I'd managed to recover the file from Sophie's laptop before she got home. Watching it again had been like swallowing glass, but I'd forced myself to do it. Evidence was evidence. How long will this take? Depends on how much she fights it. If she contests everything, could be a year or more. If she's smart and takes a reasonable settlement, maybe 6 months. And if I want to make it expensive for her. Petra leaned back in her chair. That's not usually what I recommend. Vindictive divorces tend to hurt everyone involved. She humiliated me in front of everyone I know. She cheated on me for 3 months. She turned our anniversary party into a public spectacle. I could hear my voice getting harder. Maybe I want her to hurt a little. I understand the impulse. But what if I told you I don't think this was an accident? Petra raised an eyebrow. The affair, the video playing at the party. What if I told you I think she did it on purpose? Why would she do that? It was a question I'd been wrestling with all morning. Why would Sophie deliberately humiliate herself? Why would she destroy her own reputation? Because she wanted out of the marriage but didn't want to be the bad guy. This way, I file for divorce. She gets to play the sufferer and she ends up with Ola and half my assets. Petra was quiet for a long moment. That's diabolical. You don't know my wife. Do you have any proof of this theory? Not yet, but I'm going to find some. When I left Petra's office, I felt like I had a purpose for the first time since the party. I wasn't just the wronged husband anymore. I was a man with a plan. My first stop was the bank. I moved half our joint savings into a separate account, which was perfectly legal since both our names were on it. I also changed the locks on our house, which was mostly my property anyway, since I'd done all the work to restore it. My second stop was Sophie's workplace. Event Perfect was housed in a trendy building near the waterfront, all glass and steel and exposed brick. Sophie had worked there for 3 years, planning corporate events and society parties for Maine's wealthy elite. She was good at it, I had to admit. She understood rich people's need to show off, probably because she shared it. I didn't go inside. Instead, I sat in my truck across the street and watched. Around 2 o'clock, Sophie's car pulled into the parking lot. She looked composed, professional, like she was trying to pretend everything was normal. 20 minutes later, Ola Martin's silver BMW pulled up next to her car. I grabbed my phone and started recording. Ola got out of his car and walked straight to Sophie's. She rolled down her window and they talked for about 5 minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their body language was intense, urgent. Then Ole leaned down and kissed her, right there in the parking lot in broad daylight, less than 18 hours after their Zex tape had played at our anniversary party. I got it all on video. After Ole drove away, I called Sean. I need a favor, I said. Name it. I need you to follow someone. An hour later, Sean called me back. Your boy Oled just went to First National Bank downtown. Spent about 30 minutes inside, came out with a briefcase. Then he went to his lawyer's office on Exchange Street. His lawyer? Yeah, I asked around. Guy named Davidson specializes in real estate law and divorce. So, Ole was lawyering up too. Interesting. That evening, Sophie came home to find the locks changed. I watched from the kitchen window as she tried her key, then tried it again, then stood on our front porch looking confused and angry. She called my phone. Eli? What the hell? Why won't my key work? Because I changed the locks. You can't lock me out of my own house. It's not your house, Sophie. It's our house, and right now, I don't want you in it. This is ridiculous. We need to talk. We talked this morning. You said it was a mistake. I said I didn't believe you. What else is there to discuss? Everything. Our marriage, our future, how we're going to fix this. I looked out the window at her standing on our porch in her work clothes, her phone pressed to her ear, her face a mask of frustration and disbelief. We're not going to fix this, Sophie. We're going to end it. You don't mean that. I filed for divorce this afternoon. The silence on the other end of the line stretched for so long, I thought she'd hung up. Eli, please don't do this. We can work through this like you worked through it with Ole this afternoon in the Event Perfect parking lot. Another silence. You were watching me. I was gathering evidence. Turns out you're still making it pretty easy. It's not what you think. It never is it? Look, You can pick up some clothes tomorrow when I'm at work. After that, you can stay with Greta or your mother or your boyfriend. I don't really care which. I hung up and watched her stand on the porch for another few minutes, probably trying to decide whether to make a scene for the neighbors. Finally, she got back in her car and drove away. My phone immediately started buzzing with calls and texts. Sophie, Greta, Mason, even my mother-in-law. I ignored them all. Instead, I called Mrs. Dexter. "Hello, dear," she said in her creaky voice. "I was wondering when you'd call." "Mrs. Dexter, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." "I'm always honest, Eli. It's one of my few remaining pleasures." "How long have you been seeing old Martin coming and going from my house?" She was quiet for a moment. "How long have you been married, dear?" 5 years, then about 4 and 1/2 years. The words hit me like a physical blow. 4 and 1/2 years, not 3 months. 4 and 1/2 years. Are you sure? I'm old, Eli, not blind. That man has been visiting your house regularly since about 6 months after your wedding. Usually when you were at work. Sometimes he'd stay for an hour, sometimes longer. I felt something cold and hard settling in my chest. Why didn't you ever say anything? It wasn't my place, and I kept hoping I was wrong about what I was seeing. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, staring at the wall. 4 and 1/2 years. My entire marriage had been a lie from almost the very beginning. My phone rang. Mason Clark again. This time I answered. "Eli, man, I've been trying to reach you all day. I've been busy. Look, I know last night was rough, but Sophie is really torn up about this. She made a mistake, but she loves you." "Does she?" "Of course she does. You guys are perfect together." "Mason, can I ask you something?" "Sure. How long have you known about Sophie and Ola?" The silence on the other end told me everything I needed to know. "I don't know what you mean," he said finally. "Sure you do. You've all known, haven't you? You and Greta, and probably half the social club. Everyone except the stupid husband." "Eli, that's not how long, Mason. Look, it's not my place to get involved in your marriage. You're already involved. You've been involved? So, how long have you known my wife was cheating on me?" "A couple of years, maybe. But it wasn't serious. It was just I hung up. A couple of years, maybe longer. All those dinner parties where people had smiled at me and shaken my hand and asked about my work on the house. All those conversations where I'd felt like I was missing some inside joke. All those times Sophie's friends had exchanged glances when they thought I wasn't looking. They'd all known. They'd all been laughing at me behind my back. Well, I thought, staring out at the harbor lights twinkling in the distance. Let's see who's laughing when this is over. The next morning, I was drinking coffee and reading divorce papers when someone knocked on my front door. Through the peephole, I could see Greta Morrison standing on my porch wearing designer sunglasses and an expression of determined righteousness. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. "We need to talk," she said. "Do we about Sophie? About this whole mess you're creating?" "The mess I'm creating?" I almost laughed. "That's rich, Greta. Really rich. Look, I know you're hurt, but destroying your marriage over one mistake is just one mistake." Now, I did laugh. "Greta, stop. Just stop. I know it's been going on for years. Mrs. Dexter told me everything." Greta's face went pale behind her sunglasses. "That old woman doesn't know what she's talking about. She's got 20/20 vision and a clear view of my driveway. She knows exactly what she's talking about." "Eli, please. Sophie loves you. She's made some bad choices, but she loves you." No, she doesn't. And neither do you. What's that supposed to mean? I studied Greta's face, looking for tails. She was nervous, fidgeting with her purse strap, not quite meeting my eyes, even behind the sunglasses. It means you've been covering for her for years, lying for her, helping her sneak around behind my back. That's not what friends do, Greta. That's what accomplices do. You never what? Never knew. Never helped. Never sat at my dinner table and smiled at me while you knew my wife was screwing another man. Greta took a step back. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Sophie is devastated. She's staying at my place and she's barely eaten anything since the party. She's talking about leaving town, starting over somewhere else. Good. That'll make the divorce easier. How can you be so cold? I looked at this woman who I'd considered a friend for 5 years, who'd been to our house dozens of times, who'd laughed at my jokes and complimented my cooking, and acted like she cared about our marriage. You want to know how I can be so cold, Greta? Because I just found out that everyone I trusted has been lying to me for years. My wife, my friends, probably half the people I see every day. So, forgive me if I'm not feeling particularly warm and fuzzy right now. We were trying to protect you by letting me live a lie, by letting me make a fool of myself while everyone else was in on the joke. That's not protection, Greta. That's cruelty. She stood there for a moment, opening and closing her mouth like a fish out of water. Finally, she turned and walked back to her car without another word. I watched her drive away, then called Sean. I need another favor. You're really racking up the IUs here. I need you to keep an eye on Greta Morrison's house. Sophie's staying there, and I want to know who comes and goes. You got it. Anything else? Yeah, I need to find out everything I can about old Martin's business dealings, real estate records, financial information, anything public. That's going to take some digging. I've got time. That afternoon, I drove to Event Perfect. This time, I went inside. The receptionist was a young woman with purple hair and multiple piercings who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. I'm here to see Mr. Lasker, I said. Do you have an appointment? No, but I think he'll want to see me. I'm Eli Brandt, Sophie Brandt's husband. Her eyes widened. Apparently, word of our anniversary party had reached even the purple-haired receptionist. Let me check if he's available. 5 minutes later, I was sitting across from Richard Lasker in his corner office. He was a thin man in his 60s, impeccably dressed with the kind of nervous energy that comes from managing wealthy people's egos for a living. Eli, I'm so sorry about everything. Sophie is one of our best event planners. This whole situation is just unfortunate. Unfortunate, that's one word for it. Is there something I can do for you? I pulled out my phone and showed him the video I'd taken of Sophie and Ole in the parking lot. This was taken yesterday afternoon in your parking lot during work hours. Lasker watched the video with growing discomfort. I see. Mr. Lasker, I'm filing for divorce. This is going to get messy and it's going to be public. Sophie's name is going to be in the papers, probably along with the name of her employer. What are you saying? I'm saying you might want to consider whether having someone with Sophie's judgment issues representing your company at high-profile events is really in your best interest. Lasker was quiet for a long moment. Are you threatening me, Mr. Brandt? I'm giving you information. What you do with it is up to you. I left Event Perfect feeling like I'd lit a fuse. I wasn't sure what would explode or when, but something was going to blow up. That evening, Sophie called. You went to my office? I did. How could you do that? You're trying to destroy my career. I'm trying to get a divorce. If that destroys your career, maybe you should have thought about that before you started screwing your ex-boyfriend. Eli, please. This has gone far enough. We need to sit down and talk about this like adults. Okay, let's talk like adults. How long has it been going on, Sophie? The real answer this time. Silence. Mrs. Dexter says 4 and 1/2 years. Mason says a couple of years. Greta won't give me a straight answer. What's your version? It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Fine. It started about a year after we got married, but it wasn't constant. It was on and off. Sometimes we wouldn't see each other for months. A year after we got married, I felt that cold, hard thing in my chest getting bigger. Our entire marriage has been a lie. That's not true. I do love you, Eli. I know you don't believe that, but I do. If you love me, you wouldn't have cheated on me for 4 years. It's complicated. No, it's not. It's actually very simple. You wanted to have your cake and eat it too. You wanted the stable husband and the restored house and the respectable marriage. But you also wanted the excitement of sneaking around with your ex-boyfriend. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? She was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. I don't know. I don't know why I did it. I felt trapped sometimes. Like I was playing a role instead of living my life. So, you decided to live your real life behind my back. I'm sorry. God, Eli, I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you. But please don't throw away everything we built together. We didn't build anything together, Sophie. I built something, and you pretended to be part of it while you were really somewhere else. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Finding out your entire marriage was performance art. You know what's not fair? Having your friends feel sorry for you because they all knew something you didn't. Nobody feels sorry for you. Mason does. He called yesterday to tell me you made a mistake and that I should forgive you. Like you accidentally tripped and fell on Ole's male organ for 4 years. Don't be crude. I'm being honest. There's a difference. What do you want from me, Eli? What do I have to do to fix this? I thought about the question. What did I want? An apology? An explanation? A time machine? I want you to disappear, I said finally. I want you to take whatever settlement my lawyer offers you and go start your new life with Ola or whoever else you've been seeing. I want you to leave me alone so I can figure out how to trust people again. I can't do that. Why not? Because I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me. You love having a husband who restored a beautiful house and makes decent money and doesn't ask too many questions. But you don't love me, Sophie. If you loved me, you never would have done this. I hung up and turned off my phone. Outside, the sun was setting over the harbor, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. It was beautiful, but I couldn't feel it anymore. Everything beautiful felt contaminated now. My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I could see Mason Clark standing on my porch, holding a 6-pack of beer and wearing an expression of determined friendship. I opened the door. "Peace offering," he said, holding up the beer. "I'm not really in a peaceful mood, Mason. Come on, man. Let me in. We've been friends for 4 years. Don't let Sophie's mess destroy that too." Against my better judgment, I let him in. We sat in my living room drinking beer and not talking about the elephant in the room. "Hell of a thing," Mason said finally. "Yeah. You doing okay?" "I'm doing great, Mason. My wife's been cheating on me for most of our marriage. All my friends have been lying to me about it. and I just found out my entire life has been a joke. I'm fantastic. It wasn't like that. What was it like? Mason took a long pull of his beer. Look, we all knew something was going on, but nobody wanted to get involved. Marriage problems are personal. So you just decided to let me make buttocks of myself while everyone else was in on the secret. We were trying to stay out of it. Nonsense. I sat down my beer and looked at him directly. You were all enjoying it. The drama, the secret, the fact that the stupid husband didn't know. It made you feel superior. That's not true, isn't it? Come on, Mason. Be honest for once. Didn't it feel good to know something I didn't? Didn't it make you feel smart and sophisticated and worldly? Mason didn't answer, which was an answer. And you, I continued. You've been circling Sophie like a vulture for months, offering your shoulder to cry on, being the sympathetic friend who understands her so much better than her boring husband. Eli, were you planning to make a move after the divorce? Or were you already making moves? You're being paranoid. Am I? Because I'm starting to think everyone I trusted has been playing some kind of game, and I was the only one who didn't know the rules. Mason stood up. I came here to help. No, you came here to manage the situation, to make sure I don't do anything that might embarrass Sophie or make your little social circle uncomfortable. Maybe I should go. Yeah, maybe you should. After he left, I sat alone in my living room, surrounded by the restoration work I'd spent 3 years completing. Every piece of crown molding, every refinished floorboard, every carefully chosen paint color represented hours of my life, months of my marriage, years of building something I'd thought was real. Now it all felt like a museum of lies. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Heard about your wife. Sorry, man. Some of us always thought she was trouble. Dave from the hardware store. Then another. Saw what happened at your party. That sucks. You deserve better. Jenny from the coffee shop. And another. Your wife's a piece of work. Good riddance. Mike contractor. Apparently the story was spreading beyond our social circle. The whole town was talking about it. Good. I thought, let them talk. Let everyone know exactly who Sophie Brandt really is. Let the games begin. 3 days later, Sean called with interesting news. Your boy Ole has been busy, he said. Spent yesterday morning at the bank again, then went to a travel agency downtown. Looks like he's planning a trip. Where? Couldn't get close enough to hear, but I saw brochures for the Caribbean. Also, that friend of yours, Greta, she's been having a lot of visitors at her house. Sophie's there, obviously, but also some guy I didn't recognize and a woman in a fancy car. What kind of fancy car? Mercedes Silver. License plate said lawyer. So Sophie was assembling her own legal team. Interesting. Anything else? Yeah, Mason Clark drove by your house twice yesterday. Didn't stop. Just drove by real slow like he was checking to see if you were home. I thought about Mason's visit, about the way he tried to manage me. Tried to make me feel like I was overreacting. He was definitely playing some kind of angle. Keep watching, I told Sean. I have a feeling things are about to get interesting. I was right. That afternoon, I got a call from Petra Walsh. We have a problem, she said. What kind of problem? Sophie's lawyer filed a motion claiming you've been financially abusive. They're saying you locked her out of her own home, stole money from joint accounts, and are trying to destroy her career out of spite. That's ridiculous. I know that, and you know that. But we're going to have to respond. They're asking for temporary spousal support, exclusive use of the marital home, and reimbursement for the money you moved. Can they do that? They can try. Maine law is pretty fair about these things. But judges don't like it when one spouse tries to punish the other financially. What do you recommend? We fight it. But Eli, you need to be very careful about how you handle this. No more visits to her workplace. No more dramatic gestures. We need you to look like the reasonable party here. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen and tried to think strategically. Sophie was playing the sufferer, trying to make me look like the vindictive husband who couldn't handle his wife's mistake. Her lawyer was probably advising her to paint me as controlling and abusive. It was a smart strategy. It might even work unless I was smarter. I called Mrs. Dexter. Hello, dear. How are you holding up? I've been better, Mrs. Dexter. Listen, I need to ask you for a big favor. Name it. I need you to write down everything you've seen over the past 4 years. Dates, times, how long Ola stayed, anything you can remember. And I need you to be willing to testify about it if necessary. Oh my. This is getting serious, isn't it? Very serious. Sophie's trying to claim I'm the bad guy here. I need proof that she's been lying for years. Of course, dear. I'll start writing everything down tonight. My next call was to Event Perfect. Mr. Lasker, it's Eli Brandt. I wanted to let you know that Sophie's lawyer is claiming I'm trying to destroy her career. I thought you should be aware that this might become public. What do you mean? I mean, if this goes to court, everything comes out. The affair, the video, the fact that she was conducting personal business in your parking lot during work hours. It's going to be in the newspapers. Mr. Will asked her, is that really the kind of publicity you want for Event Perfect? There was a long pause. I appreciate you letting me know. I thought you'd want to be prepared. That evening, Sophie called again. You're trying to destroy my life, she said without preamble. I'm trying to get a divorce. You went to my boss again. You're trying to get me fired. I gave him information he needed to protect his business. What he does with that information is up to him. This is so cruel, Eli. This isn't like you. You don't know what I'm like, Sophie. You never bothered to find out. I know you're angry, but this isn't going to bring you any peace. Hurting me isn't going to make you feel better. You're right. But it's not about feeling better. It's about consequences. What's that supposed to mean? It means you spent 4 years lying to me, cheating on me, making me look like a fool in front of everyone I know. Now you get to face the consequences of those choices. I said I was sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything, Sophie. Sorry doesn't give me back 4 years of my life. Sorry doesn't make me trust people again. So you're going to destroy me instead? I'm going to tell the truth. If that destroys you, maybe you should have thought about that before you started living a lie. She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder. You know what? Fine. If you want to play this game, we'll play. But don't think you're going to walk away from this marriage with everything while I get nothing. What's that supposed to mean? It means I helped build our life too. I may not have swung a hammer, but I was there. I supported your work. I entertained your clients. I made our house a home. I deserve half of everything. You were there physically, but you weren't really there, were you? You were with Ole. That doesn't change the law, Eli. I'm entitled to half of everything we accumulated during our marriage. The house, the business assets, everything. We'll see about that. Yes, we will. After she hung up, I realized the gloves were officially off. Sophie was done playing the remorseful wife. Now she was playing hardball. Good, I was better at hardball than she thought. The next morning, I got a call from an unknown number. Mr. Brandt, this is Detective Sarah Martinez with the Portland Police. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your wife. My blood went cold. What kind of questions? We've received a complaint alleging harassment and stalking. Would you be available to come in and talk with us? I'll be right there. The police station was a modern building downtown, all concrete and glass and fluorescent lighting. Detective Martinez was a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Mr. Brandt, your wife has filed a complaint alleging that you've been following her, threatening her, and trying to interfere with her employment. That's not true. She says you've been to her workplace twice, that you've had her followed by a private investigator, and that you've made threatening phone calls. I went to her workplace to inform her boss about her conduct during work hours. I haven't had her followed by a private investigator, and I've never threatened her. What about the phone calls? We've talked several times since I filed for divorce. I've never threatened her. Detective Martinez made notes on a legal pad. Mr. Brandt, I'm going to be straight with you. Divorce cases can get ugly, but they can also get criminal if people cross certain lines. Harassment, stalking, intimidation. These are serious charges. I understand. I'm not filing charges at this time, but I want you to be very careful about your contact with your wife going forward. No more visits to her workplace. No more following her around. No more phone calls unless they're absolutely necessary and conducted through your lawyers. Detective Martinez, can I ask you something? Sure. Did my wife mention that she's been having an affair for 4 years, or that she accidentally played a sex tape at our anniversary party in front of 24 guests? Martinez's expression didn't change. That's between you and your lawyers, Mr. Brandt. I'm just here to make sure nobody gets hurt. When I left the police station, I was furious. Sophie was trying to make me look like a stalker and a threat. She was playing the sufferer while simultaneously trying to destroy me. Two could play that game. I called Sean. Change of plans, I said. Stop following Sophie. I don't want to give her any ammunition for her harassment claims. You sure? Things were just getting interesting. I'm sure. But I need you to do something else for me. Name it. I need you to find out everything you can about Mason Clark's finances. Business dealings, debts, anything that might be public record. Why Mason? Because he's been acting weird, and I think he's more involved in this than he's letting on. You got it. That evening, I got a text from an unknown number. Stop trying to destroy Sophie. She's been through enough. Back off or you'll regret it. I showed the text to Petra when I met with her the next day. This is harassment, she said. We should report it to the police. Sophie just reported me to the police for harassment. I don't think they're going to be very sympathetic right now. Do you have any idea who sent this? I have a few theories. Well, keep the text. If this escalates, we'll need evidence. Petra, I need to ask you something. How bad could this get for me financially? Worst case scenario, you could end up paying significant spousal support and losing half the value of the house. But that's worst case. More likely, you'll pay some support for a limited time and maybe have to buy out her share of the house. What if I told you I think she's planning to disappear with Ole? What do you mean? Sean saw him at a travel agency looking at Caribbean brochures. What if they're planning to take whatever money they can get from the divorce and start over somewhere else? That would actually work in our favor. If she leaves the state, it becomes much harder for her to claim ongoing support. So, I should encourage her to leave. I didn't say that. But if she chooses to leave on her own, I left Petra's office with a plan forming in my mind. If Sophie wanted to play games, I'd give her a game she'd never forget. But first, I needed to know exactly who I was playing against. Sean called me at 6 in the morning, 3 days later, his voice tight with excitement. "You need to get down here right now," he said. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. Just get to the shop." I threw on clothes and drove through the empty streets to Sean's garage. He was waiting for me with a cup of coffee and a manila folder thick with papers. "Mason Clark," he said, handing me the folder. "Your instincts were right. This guy's in serious financial trouble." I opened the folder and started reading. Bank records, court filings, business registrations. It painted a picture of a man whose lifestyle far exceeded his income. "He owes money everywhere," Sean continued. "Credit cards, business loans, even borrowed against his house twice. And look at this." He pointed to a document near the bottom of the pile. It was a loan application from 6 months ago listing Sophie Brandt as a co-signer. Sophie co-signed a loan for Mason, $50,000 for his consulting business. I stared at the paper, feeling pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. She never mentioned this to me. Gets better. Look at the date. The loan was dated 3 months ago, right around the time Sophie claimed her affair with Ola had started. But if she was co-signing loans for Mason, how many people has my wife been sleeping with? "That's not even the best part," Sean said, grinning. "Look at the collateral for the loan." I scanned the document until I found it. The collateral listed was 50% ownership interest in restored Victorian property at 47 Maple Street, my house. Sophie had used our house as collateral for Mason's loan without telling me. "This can't be legal," I said. "Probably not, but it gets worse." I did some digging into Mason's business. Turns out his consulting company is just a shell. He's been using it to hide money from his creditors. "What kind of money?" "The kind that comes from blackmail." I looked up at Sean. "What?" "Think about it, man. Mason's been part of your social circle for years. He knows everyone's secrets, everyone's dirty laundry, and he's been broke for most of that time. But somehow he keeps living like he's rich. You think he's been blackmailing people? I think he's been collecting information and using it when he needs money. And I think Sophie's affair gave him the perfect opportunity to cash in." The picture was becoming clearer, and it was uglier than I'd imagined. Mason hadn't been the sympathetic friend trying to help Sophie through her marital problems. He'd been manipulating the situation for his own benefit. "There's more." Sean said, "I talked to a guy who works at the travel agency where Ole was looking at brochures. Turns out he wasn't planning a romantic getaway with Sophie." "What do you mean?" "He was looking at one-way tickets for one person to countries that don't have extradition treaties with the United States." "Extradition treaties?" "Yeah, places where you can disappear if you're running from something like maybe financial crimes or fraud charges." I sat down heavily in one of Sean's work chairs, trying to process everything. Sophie wasn't just cheating on me. She was part of some kind of scheme involving Mason's debts, illegal loans, and possibly fraud. And Ole wasn't planning to run away with her. He was planning to run away from her. "Sean, I need you to make copies of all this and take them to Petra Walsh's office today." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to end this." I drove home and called Sophie. "We need to meet," I said when she answered. "Eli, it's 7 in the morning. I know what time it is. We need to meet today. Just the two of us." "I don't think that's a good idea." My lawyer said, "Your lawyer doesn't know about the loan you co-signed for Mason Clark using our house as collateral." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said finally, but her voice had lost all its confidence. "Sure you do. $50,000, Sophie. You put our house up as collateral for your boyfriend's fake business loan. Mason isn't my boyfriend. No, he's your accomplice, along with Ole, who's apparently planning to disappear to a non-extradition country. Were you planning to go with him, or were you just going to take the money and run on your own? Eli, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You've been running a con game, and I was the mark. The faithful husband who worked hard and didn't ask too many questions while you and your friends figured out how to steal everything I've built. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain it to me, Sophie. Make me understand how putting our house at risk for your lover's debts is somehow not exactly what it looks like. She was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, no desire to comfort her. Just cold, hard anger. Meet me at Riverside Park at noon, I said. Come alone. We're going to settle this once and for all. Eli, please. Noon, Sophie. Don't be late. I spent the morning preparing. I printed copies of all the documents Sean had found. I charged my phone and made sure the recording app was working. I called Petra and told her where I'd be and when. Are you sure about this? She asked. I'm sure. It's time to end this game. Riverside Park was nearly empty when I arrived at 11:30. It was a cold, gray day, with the kind of wind off the harbor that cut through your jacket and chilled your bones. I sat on a bench facing the water and waited. Sophie arrived at 5 minutes 12, wearing a long coat and sunglasses despite the overcast sky. She looked smaller somehow, diminished, like the confidence that had always been her trademark was finally cracking. Thank you for coming, I said as she sat down beside me. What do you want, Eli? I want the truth. All of it. No more lies, no more games, no more pretending. You're the sufferer here. She was quiet for a long time, staring out at the gray water. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. It started as a way to get back at you. What? The affair with Ola? It started because I was angry at you for always being so perfect, so satisfied with your little restoration projects and your quiet life. I felt like I was disappearing. So, you decided to cheat on me. I decided to do something that was just mine. Something you couldn't control or improve or fix for 4 years. It wasn't supposed to last that long. But Ola, he understood me in ways you never did. He made me feel alive. And Mason? She flinched at his name. Mason found out about the affair about 2 years ago. He saw us together at a hotel downtown and he blackmailed you. He said he was protecting me. He said if I helped him with some financial problems, he'd make sure you never found out. So you co-signed his loan? It was supposed to be temporary. He said he'd pay it back in 6 months and you'd never have to know. Using our house as collateral? I didn't have a choice. He said if I didn't help him, he'd tell you everything. But then he wanted more money. Sophie nodded, tears streaming down her face. It never stopped. Every few months, he'd need something else, a loan, a co-signature, help with his creditors. And every time he'd remind me that he could destroy my marriage whenever he wanted. What about the video? The anniversary party? That was an accident. I swear to God, Eli, that was a real accident. I had been documenting some of my meetings with Ole, and the file got mixed up with our family photos. Why were you documenting them? Because Mason wanted proof. He said he needed evidence to protect both of us if things went wrong. The pieces were all falling into place now. Mason had been orchestrating everything, using Sophie's affair as leverage to solve his financial problems. The Zex tape wasn't just evidence of cheating. It was blackmail material. What about Ole? Is he part of this? Ole doesn't know about Mason. He thinks our affair is just an affair. But he's been getting nervous lately. He's talking about leaving town, starting over somewhere else without you. Sophie's face crumpled. He says it's getting too complicated, too risky. He never wanted anything serious anyway. So Ole was abandoning ship, leaving Sophie to face the consequences alone. And Mason was probably planning to disappear too, once he'd extracted everything he could from the situation. Sophie, listen to me very carefully. You're in serious legal trouble here. Fraud, conspiracy, maybe even racketeering if the prosecutor wants to get creative. I know, but there's a way out. She looked at me for the first time since we'd sat down. What do you mean? Help me expose Mason and Ola. Testify about what they made you do. Provide evidence of the blackmail scheme, and I'll make sure the prosecutor knows you were a sufferer too. And our marriage? Our marriage is over, Sophie. It's been over for years. But you don't have to go to prison. She was quiet for a long time, weighing her options. Finally, she nodded. What do you need me to do? I pulled out my phone and showed her the recording app. I need you to call Mason right now. Tell him you're worried about the police investigation and get him to talk about the blackmail scheme. He'll never admit to anything over the phone. He will if he thinks you're about to crack. Tell him you're thinking about confessing everything to save yourself. Sophie took a deep breath and dialed Mason's number. I held my phone close enough to record both sides of the conversation. Mason, it's Sophie. No, I'm not okay. Eli knows about the loan. Yes, he knows about the house. Mason, I think we need to tell him the truth. What do you mean I can't? You said you were protecting me, but you were really just using me. I don't care about our deal anymore. I'm tired of lying. What do you mean you'll destroy me? You already have. The conversation went on for 10 more minutes, with Mason growing increasingly desperate and threatening. By the time Sophie hung up, I had everything I needed. That was good, I said. Now call Ole. The call with Ola was shorter, but just as revealing. He was clearly planning to leave town, and he made it obvious that he had no intention of taking Sophie with him. One more call, I said. Your lawyer. Tell her you want to change your strategy. What should I say? Tell her you want to cooperate with my divorce proceedings and that you're willing to testify against Mason Clark in exchange for immunity from prosecution. Sophie made the call, and I could hear her lawyer's shock and confusion even through the phone. When she hung up, we sat in silence for a while, watching the gray water and the gray sky. What happens now? Sophie asked. Now you move out of Greta's house and find somewhere safe to stay. Mason's going to be very angry when he realizes what you've done. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore, Sophie. You made your choices. Now you get to live with the consequences. I know you hate me. I thought about that for a moment. Did I hate her, or was I just tired of caring? I don't hate you, I said finally. I just don't know you. I'm not sure I ever did. I'm sorry, Eli, for all of it. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't give me back 4 years of my life. Sophie stood up, pulling her coat tighter against the wind. Will you ever forgive me? I don't know. Maybe someday, but not today. She walked away across the park, her figure getting smaller and smaller until she disappeared entirely. I sat on the bench for another hour, watching the water and thinking about the future. My phone rang. It was Petra. How did it go? Better than expected. I've got Mason on tape admitting to blackmail and extortion. Sophie's willing to testify. And I think we can probably get Ole on fraud charges. Jesus, Eli, this is bigger than a divorce case. I know. Can you contact the district attorney's office? I think they're going to be very interested in what we have. I'll call them this afternoon. What about the divorce? Sophie's not going to contest it. She can't afford to. Not if she wants to stay out of prison. And the house? The house is mine. It always was. That evening, I sat in my kitchen with a bottle of beer and the divorce papers Petra had drawn up. Sophie had already signed them. In 6 months, our marriage would be officially over. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won, but this isn't over. You'll pay for what you've done. I showed the text to Detective Martinez when I went to the police station the next morning. We'll trace the number, she said. But Mr. Brandt, you should be very careful for the next few weeks. People do stupid things when they're desperate. I'm not worried about Mason Clark. Maybe you should be. We've had our eye on him for a while. He's been involved in some questionable business deals, and he's got connections to some unsavory people. What kind of connections? The kind that don't like it when their business arrangements get exposed. I left the police station with a new appreciation for how complicated this situation had become. It wasn't just about cheating and divorce anymore. It was about fraud and blackmail and possibly organized crime. But I wasn't backing down. Sophie had made her choice to cooperate. Ole was probably already on a plane to somewhere without extradition treaties, and Mason Clark was about to discover that threatening the wrong person could have serious consequences. 3 days later, the police arrested Mason at his house on charges of extortion, fraud, and conspiracy. The local newspaper ran a front-page story about the social club blackmail scheme that had rocked Maine's coastal elite. Ola Martin was arrested at Logan Airport in Boston, trying to board a flight to the Cayman Islands with a suitcase full of cash and fake identification documents. Sophie testified before a grand jury and received immunity from prosecution in exchange for her cooperation. She moved to her sister's house in Vermont and filed for bankruptcy. Event Perfect fired her the day the story broke, and I got my house back, along with my life, my dignity, and a hard-earned understanding of who my real friends were. The divorce was finalized on a cold Tuesday in February. I signed the papers in Petra's office, officially ending 5 years of marriage that had been a lie from almost the very beginning. How do you feel? Petra asked as I handed back the pen. Free, I said. For the first time in years, I feel free. That evening, I sat in my restored Victorian house, surrounded by the work I'd done with my own hands, and raised a glass of good whiskey to the future. Whatever came next, it would be real. It would be mine, and it would be built on truth instead of lies. Mason Clark was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Ole Martin got 7 years in deportation after his release. Sophie disappeared into her new life in Vermont, and I never saw her again. Mrs. Dexter brought me cookies and gossip. Sean helped me plan renovations for the guest bedroom. Detective Martinez called to tell me the harassment charges had been dropped. And slowly, carefully, I began to trust the world again. 6 months after the divorce was final, I was working in my garden when a woman walked by with her dog. She was new to the neighborhood, pretty in a natural way that didn't require performance or artifice. Beautiful house, she said, stopping at my gate. Thank you. I restored it myself. Really? That's impressive. I'm Sarah, by the way. I just moved into the blue house on the corner. Eli, I said, wiping my hands on my jeans. Welcome to the neighborhood. We talked for a few minutes about gardening and restoration work and the best places to get coffee in town. When she walked away, I found myself smiling for the first time in months. Maybe, I thought, watching her disappear around the corner with her dog, it was time to start building something new, something real this